Welcome. In this video, we're going to talk about the world of hacking, a really exciting topic, hot topic with cybersecurity and data science overall. Um, is all hacking bad? No, actually, some hacking is good. We'll explain that. There are different types of hackers: white hackers, gray hackers, and black hackers. We're going to talk about that in this video. I'm going to go over the related assignment with a website that is really cool called ThingLink that allows you to create hotspots to put in information so that you can have sort of this interactive image and put it out there on the web for all to see. So we're going to get into hacking in general. Like many of these other topics, a lot of these crossover. We're going to get into a social engineering assignment, then the human aspect of it, and talk about some of the methods that are used to get into cybersecurity, have a cybersecurity breach or a data breach of some kind. Hacking in general started way back when. It actually started as, if you've ever heard of sort of the maker movement, where people are creating things and trying things and imagining and creating new ways of doing things. Hacking was sort of in its beginning stages was in that realm, and it shifted with the advent of more complex computing systems and cybersecurity as a field in general. Hackers in the news, you'll see, generally not perceived as good, but you'll see as we go through some of these resources that even though they're these so-called black hackers, and remember it's the color hats: white hat, gray hat, and black hat. And the folks with that they label as black hackers, the black hat hackers, they are basically those that are doing things for bad. So let's go back. Let's start with the white hacker. So what's a white hacker? A white hacker is actually a hacker that you have an organization, a big organization, and you want to be able to understand what the vulnerabilities are, how, from a cybersecurity perspective, how safe are you? How do you do that? Well, you actually go out and you find either internally you find, or you go out and find someone who has the ability and the know-how to be able to try and hack into your system, access your data, access your systems, things that you don't want people to access. So we go back to that availability in CIA. You don't want everything available. You want to make sure no one with the integrity is messing with your data, right? You want to make sure that everything remains confidential. Well, how do you do that? One way to do that is to hire a professional white hat hacker that has the ability and the skill set to actually try to break into your system in a controlled environment. And by a controlled environment is they are working with people inside the organization on contract, or they're employees of the organization, and they're trying to break into the system so that the system can get more secure. And you'll see that even with the black hat hackers, it's actually a functionality of when something gets hacked, we get better. We talked about this with the cryptography and the encryption as well, where things became more and more complex because it was easier to figure out the passwords, so that we needed more and more complex encryption processes around the data and around cybersecurity in general. Well, it's the same thing with hackers. You get white hat hackers who will be paid to find vulnerabilities, to do things like pen testing, penetration testing, where they're actually trying to get into the systems. And they do often get into the systems because this is what they do. And what happens? The organization adjusts based on how difficult or easy it is to get into systems. They'll adjust what they do. They'll put different layers of protection in. They'll add more complexity to their cybersecurity, whatever they need to do to amend so that they are not vulnerable to the hackers. That's what the white hackers will do. And then you have gray hackers. So gray hackers, while white hat hackers are the ones that have full permission, they're usually being hired by organizations to get into their system to show vulnerabilities. You have the gray hat hackers that are not quite it's kind of in muddy waters. So the gray hat hackers really are about doing things without permission, but not technically illegal. An example of that is a few years back, someone hacked the iPhones and actually sold information to the FBI about an incident that happened, a national security incident that happened. So there's a case that they did it without permission, but it ended up being good. And you see these what are called hacktivists, and you'll read about some of those in some of the documentation. So they're doing things for good, and they're depending on themselves to sort of draw that ethical line or that moral line. And you'll see in this. In some of the literature that you're reading and some of what you're finding, you'll see ethical versus unethical hacking. And the gray hat hackers are in that space where they're doing things, they're hacking, but they're not necessarily getting permission. And in some instances, it could lead to them getting in trouble. And it's found that it's against the law, for example. But in other instances, it doesn't hurt anybody. And it's up to the person in that space to decide whether it's ethical or not ethical, and often legal or illegal too. And it's a gray area, like the name says, gray hat hackers. Then you have black hat hackers. And black hat hackers are those that are out there for no good. They're out there for, they want to steal your money. They want to get the data and sell the data to someone, or they just want to do damage. Sometimes it's not about the money. It's just about really, messing with an organization and bringing an organization down just for the sake of bringing it down, doing damage just for the sake of doing damage. And 99% of the time that those are illegal activities that the black hat hackers are doing. So just be aware, but even them, so all of these areas, the white hat hackers, the gray hat hackers, and the black hat hackers, they all have this functionality to improve cybersecurity, data security overall. Because what's happening, even with the bad guys, the bad people that are doing this, they essentially are upping the ante. So we talked in an earlier video about the ebb and the flow. Like, something will come out, and I think it was in the encryption where something comes out, somebody decrypts whatever it is, and then they find a better way to encrypt the data. Well, it's the same thing with hacking. You have these hackers that get out there, get into systems, get the information. So what happens? The people that are trying to protect the information from a cybersecurity perspective, they have to evolve and adjust. And they do that through the white hat hackers, the gray hat hackers, but also the black hat hackers. So they all have this functionality to, and what does that do? Once they adjust to what the black hat hackers are doing, it makes them safer moving forward. So in a weird way, even black hat hackers are helping to keep us more secure at someone else's expense, which is a bad thing. White hat hackers, at least it's not at someone's expense. Gray hat hackers, sometimes we don't know. But so everything contributes to a more secure system overall. But it is always going to be this back and forth. Once the folks adjust to protect their data and make sure they're more secure with cyber, then the hackers are going to figure out a different way of getting into things and doing things. And you'll notice, again, we talked about quantum computing and the speed of which people can guess passwords or access systems or whatever it might be. That's just exponentially increasing too. So it's just becoming a challenge on both sides for the hackers to hack, but also for the people to stay on top of it. So you're always going to have this ebb and flow of one being ahead, then the other one being ahead, and then the other one coming on top of that. So just keep that in mind. And that's going to just about wrap up this video. So remember, it's really exciting space, and it's really intriguing. There's a lot of psychology, human aspects to it. We'll get into the social engineering again, but you'll see this human aspect theme come in. We're talking about ethical versus unethical. You'll see this theme come in throughout what we're talking about with cybersecurity. It's time and time again, you see this theme, the human, the social engineering. It's in everything that we do, hacking, ethical, unethical. There's always this psychological aspect of it. The study of what people are doing on the good side, the study of what people are doing on the bad side, the study of hacking as a positive to make you more secure, the study of what the hackers are doing to get into the systems. All this is really very complex, and it's a really cool way for you to dig into it, starting with this assignment. So see you for the next video, and good luck.